There are so many things to consider when choosing a hem for your next sewing project. You may be thinking about functionality, aesthetics, or fabric type, and we are going to talk about all of those. We also are going to focus on three of the most popular hem types: double folded hem, a rolled hem, and invisible hem. Hi, I am Blue Clarice, and I am here with Big Z Fabric to talk to you about hemming. So what is hemming? It is any technique you're going to use to finish the edge of your fabric to prevent fraying. Also, sometimes you may want to adjust the length of your fabric. Think of jeans that are too long for you. You also may hem those. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that you are wearing some clothes. Maybe a t-shirt, maybe some jeans. I want you to look at the bottom edge of that fabric, and right there you will see a hem, and flip it over. There you'll be able to see the front and the back side of the hem. It may be folded over twice, it may be folded over once. It really depends on what you're wearing. This brings me to our first hem, and it is the most popular hem. It is the double-sided hem. The double-sided hem is exactly what it sounds like. It is a hem that you fold over twice. The raw edge is completely covered in this hem, and it's also commonly known as one of the most durable hems. Also, this type of hem can help a lot with drape because it can add an extra bit of weight at the bottom of your fabric. To demonstrate this type of hem, we are going to be using Big Z Fabric's Premium Denim. This fabric is super sturdy. It even has a little bit of stretch just for comfort, and I actually really enjoyed working with this fabric. So the first step is to fold your fabric once. You want to make sure you're folding onto the wrong side of the fabric and then press it down. We're gonna fold the fabric again onto the back. This way we are completely hiding the raw edge. When I do this second fold, I try to make sure everything is laying flat so that the piece that's already folded in the fabric is not folded again inside the hem. Now it's time to sew. I like to sew from the top of the fabric, but it can be easier to sew from the bottom. I just think it looks a little bit better this way. But keep in mind, if you decide to sew with the bottom side up, then whatever thread you have in the bottom is going to be what you see in the front. So maybe match your threads. Trust me, I don't always do it, but I did for this one. And there we go. We have our double folded hem. Now that you know how to do a double folded hem, we're going to talk about a bit of a more specialized hem, and that is the rolled hem. The rolled hem is used mostly with lightweight fabrics, just like chiffon. It is a very narrow hem stitch, a lot more narrow than a typical double folded hem. That being said, the steps are pretty similar to the double folded one, except rolled, and there is an extra step. So let's go through it. For this hem, we will be using Big Z Fabric's chiffon. I just chose this blue color because I thought it was really pretty. This is a very lightweight fabric and it does fray a bit, but that's typical of chiffon. And it is a bit see-through, which will be nice to layer on top of different fabrics. I actually don't have a rolled hem foot, which might make making this hem a little easier, but I'm just gonna show you how to do it with a standard sewing foot. First, you're gonna wanna make sure your fabric is a bit longer than what you want because we're gonna be cutting it. Instead of pressing your fabric down like I did with the last hem, we're going to roll our fabric over. I like to have a lot of excess here because I'm trying to sew as close to the edge as possible. This can be a little tricky, but if you go slow, you'll be able to do it no problem. Once that edge is sewed down, you're gonna take your scissors and cut as close to that edge as possible. But we're not gonna stop here. We have to roll it again. And this time we're rolling it very slightly. We don't want a bunch of excess fabric because we're not cutting it again. I actually roll this one as I sew. So I start with the beginning rolled and then I sew along the edge. For this stitch, it's even more important that you go slow, probably slower than I went. Once you get everything sewn down, you'll have a nice narrow hem. This next hem has a lot more to do with aesthetics. I've used it a lot in my cosplays and I just really love the way it looks when it's finished, and that is the invisible hem. Sometimes you just don't want to see the stitching on your hem, and I think that this allows for a very clean looking finish. And yes, there are ways to achieve this hem using your machine, but This time, we're going to do a little hand sewing, so get your needles out and let's learn how to do an invisible hem stitch. For this hem, we are going to be using Big Z's fabric Shiny Bridal Satin. This is such a gorgeous fabric. I chose the white because I have thread that matches it. But for this hem type, you can use it on a lot of different types of fabric. And to start, you kind of already know what we're going to do. This is basically exactly what we did for the double folded hem. I pressed down one fold, then rolled over and pressed another. I also like to pin it down just to keep everything in place. Now it's time for the hand stitching. Sewing an invisible hem is not hard. There's just one key thing. You first pull your needle through the fold of the fabric. Next is the most essential part to do correct, which is to take your needle and only go through a little bit of the fabric in the front. So you basically just want a thread or a couple of threads when you go through here. And I'm going to zoom in and show you how to do this. And once you sew through that little bit of fabric, you're going to come back and sew through the fold again. This is going to leave next to no stitch marks on the front of your fabric, especially if you get the tension right with your sewing. And it honestly doesn't take that long once you get the hang of it. So here, I'm just going to quickly finish the rest of this square and then show you what it's looking like. I did make a little bit of a mistake when I finished off this hem. As you can see on the right side, you cannot really see the stitching, but on the left you can. But that's because I did not flatten out the stitch when I finished it off, which I highly recommend you do so you can have a nicer finish like I do on the right side. But otherwise, we are done with our 3 hems, our invisible hem, our rolled hem, and our double folded hem. Thank you so much for watching this video. We believe it's very important to share sewing knowledge with people of all skill levels and hope to make many more tutorials. So please, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments if there's any sewing topics you'd like us to talk about next. And I'll see you in the next one.